It was supposed to be a simple exploration of an abandoned shelter, but it turned into a nightmare. 5 friends, Tom, Emily, Alex, Sarah, and Jake, had heard about this shelter from an old newspaper article. It was said to be an underground bunker built during the Cold War, but it was abandoned shortly after its construction. It had been sitting there forgotten for decades until their curiosity got the best of them. They arrived at the location, and from the outside it looked like a regular abandoned building. However, as they entered, they realized that it was much more than that. The entrance was a small room with a heavy metal door, and as they walked further in, they saw a long, dark corridor that seemed to stretch on endlessly. The air was thick and musty, and they could hear their own footsteps echoing through the halls. They walked cautiously, holding their flashlights tightly, trying to keep their fear at bay. The corridor led to a large room with a table and chairs, a bookshelf, and an old radio. The furniture was all covered in dust and cobwebs, as if no one had touched it in years. They split up to explore the room, and as they were searching, Emily found a journal on the bookshelf. It belonged to someone who had been living in the shelter for years. The journal spoke of someone being trapped in the shelter and unable to leave. The entries became more erratic and frightened as they went. As they read, they heard a loud banging noise coming from somewhere in the shelter. They quickly gathered together, their hearts pounding in their chests, and followed the sound. It led them to a small room with a locked metal door. They could hear something shuffling around on the other side of the door, and the sound of something scratching at the metal. They tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. Suddenly, they heard a loud growling noise, and a massive creature burst through the door. It was a grotesque, mutated creature that seemed to be a mix of several different animals. It had the body of a dog, the head of a snake, and the wings of a bat. It was Cerberus, the guardian of the underworld. The creature attacked them, and they fought back with all their might, but it was too strong. One by one, they fell to its ferocious attacks. Emily was the last one standing, and as she tried to run, the creature caught up to her and dragged her back into the shelter. The next day, the police found the entrance to the shelter sealed shut, and no one ever saw or heard from the 5 friends again. The journal and the furniture were all gone, as if they had never existed. The shelter remained sealed shut, a grim reminder of the horrors that lay within.